We want to turn to the historic night here in California. What affects you the most?
Yeah, voters legalized the recreational use of marijuana. Here's a look at the Prop 64 results with 38% of precincts reporting the yeses have it with 56%, noes 44%. Let's go to KPIX5's Juliet Goodrich at the official Yes on 64 party in San Francisco. Juliet?
Liz, this is a real game changer. Yes, I'm at the Yes on 64 party, but I have to tell you, it wasn't much of a pot party per se because this crowd was definitely fixated on the election. It was a catch-22. While they were happy to see Prop 64 ahead in the polls, they certainly were not happy to see what was happening with the election. But let's listen in as Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom talked about Prop 64, something he has supported since day one.
The state stepped up and stepped in and said the war on drugs is an abject failure. The war on drugs in California has been a war on poor people, a war on people of color, and it is time for change. And California now has sent that message powerfully to the rest of the nation. That is a point of pride from my perspective.
So what does this mean? Well, Prop 64 would allow adults 21 years or older to possess and use marijuana for recreational purposes. Now, Prop 64 creates two new taxes. So beginning tomorrow, medical marijuana patients will be able to be exempt from paying the sales tax. Now, while Californians will be able to possess and grow marijuana immediately, you can't buy it until stores are licensed, and that could take until next year when all of the regulations are in effect. So while this is a big change, an historic change for the state of California, it's not going to happen overnight. And that's the latest here from what was supposed to be a seemingly happy occasion, and a big party is very quiet tonight. However, the passage of Prop 64 is certainly something that they are very happy about. In San Francisco, I'm Juliet Goodrich, KPIX5.
All right, thanks, Juliet. Well, maybe people are just mellowed out. You know, they're just kind of hanging out right now. Our political insider, Phil Mateer, is here. Now, this has been tried in California for better than 30 years.
Yes.
I mean, come on, they've been trying to legalize marijuana in one form or another.
One step at a time. We did medical marijuana, and that was a groundbreaker for the rest of the country as well. We followed some other states. But this is a sea change, because what we're going into now is marijuana incorporated. This moves it from the cooperatives and the small and the clinical sales of it to full-scale recreational use. And it's going to take a year or so for the state and the locals to figure out how they want to license it. Do you want a pot club in your neighborhood? How close should it be to schools? What hours should it operate? What type of controls are we going to have on the potency of the product? How are we going to determine if people are driving under the influence? All of this is supposedly going to be worked out. Prediction, land values are going to go higher. Greenhouse values, like you say, are already going through the roof. And the same political consultants that helped pass this initiative are going to be right there at the front of the line, helping to formulate the licensing requirements to get this business going. Because even though they say they don't want it to be a big gold and green rush, when you say recreational versus medical, it changes
in the counties where they've made regulations available to growers. Tractor sales go up. You're seeing pipes, the guy who sells the plastic pipes, water tanks.
The difference is this. Medical, you go into a pharmacy, you go into a drugstore, you go to the pharmaceutical section, you know how it looks with the little containers and this and that. Then you go over to the candy side. That's the difference, okay? This is where we're taking marijuana from the medical side and putting it on the candy side. It's going to make for a very interesting couple of next years here in California.
So what do you think made the difference this time around with recreational marijuana?
Time.
Not money?
Time and money, but time. Just eventually, the polls just kept showing. People were saying, and by the way, it is interesting because we'll see how the demographics work, but a lot of this was passed by older people who were in the 60s, and it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it in the new millennium.
Yeah, the mom vote was very important in this
and
as
then
well.
the last ad featured a mom. Did you notice that?
I did see that.
It was money. Of course, there was money involved in it. This is politics. Politics, pot, money. Okay, we know it goes.
There you go.
Candy department.